And we are back on the build phase. I'm Mr. Bennett today. I'm going to do something that's sort of versus adjacent. So this is not an episode that's strictly going to be about versus cards. In fact, this is going to be an episode that's going to be kind of about Star Wars Unlimited cards. Like a lot of people in the card game space, I have been playing the new Fantasy Flight game, Star Wars Unlimited, and it was brought to my attention that Team Apex dipped their toes into these particular waters at Gen Con. So at that point, I reached out to Vern. I said, "Stop! Don't learn anything about any more cards. I'm gonna show you 10 cards and have you tell me, based on primarily your knowledge as a versus player, if which of these cards are bangers that you're going to slam into your deck and which of these cards are destined for the binder." It's actually my intent to do a couple of these because this was a ton of fun. Be aware that we're going to be talking about some cards from another game. If that doesn't interest you at all, totally understand. There will be more versus specific content coming up. But on this episode, I have Vern from Team Apex, a versus player trying to determine which of these Star Wars Unlimited cards are bangers and which are binder. And if you would like to play along with your background versus knowledge, he will read all of the cards as we go through this. So this is our first attempt to hop on this particular YouTube gimmick. This was a lot of fun. So hope you guys enjoy. Okay. So I'm just going to send you the image. I'll let you read the card. And if you have any questions, I'll answer them. Obviously, you can't say, "Hey, is this a good card?" So the question at hand, is this card a banger that's going to go into all your decks? Or is this a binder card that's going to go sit in your binder and never see play? I
Okay.
approached each of these with the perspective of constructed. If you have questions about how a card would work in sealed, that's fine, like draft or whatever. But like that wasn't my main thinking when I approached this, just so you know where we're at.
Okay.
All right, I'm sending you the first one.
Okay. So Mace Windu, 7 cost. I don't even know what the name of these aspects are, man. So we just go red and good guys.
Red is aggression, and then yeah, the yellowish one is good guys. Yeah.
Okay. Force, Jedi, and Republic. That makes sense. 5 attack, 7. I think what is it? Vitality?
Yeah, it's attack and defense or health. So
Ambush when it's ready.
one thing
Makes
that is fundamentally different here than versus, which I think you might already know, is that damage actually stacks on a unit. So if you do 2 damage to this guy, that sticks around for next turn. You don't have to get the whole amount of the defense to get the stun.
okay. So on 7, this guy comes out. He can ready attack. He can ready if he attacks a unit right away. And then if he defeats that unit, he readies and he can attack again.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, that sounds good. Anytime you can attack twice with a character, that sounds good. The difference in this game is that you only get to make one action and then your opponent gets to respond. So it's possible that they can take him out before he can attack again, I guess. But I mean, still, you have an opportunity for an extra attack. Uh, man, I think from what little I know about the game, this would be playable.
So,
I think.
do you think this is playable to the level of being a banger, or do you think this is a card that mostly resides in your binder? So, just
Okay.
let me just get a little bit more clear. If a card is fringe playable in like one particular deck, or like a couple of like a particular deck archetype, I'm classifying that as a binder card. So, for it to be a
Okay.
banger, it needs to be a knockout, like staple type card.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm gonna go binder for this one.
Yes. I think I maybe walked you right into that, but yes. So you correctly deduce that being able to attack twice is really good. The problem with this guy is he takes your whole turn on turn 7, and the kind of decks that are trying to like that would want to attack twice with a unit in aggression, they're trying to kill you on like the turn before that. He does see
Yeah.
some fringe playability, but he's a little too slow for the aggro decks that would really want him.
Okay.
All right, so we're off to a good start. Now for our second one, I'm going to throw a slight curveball at you in that we're going to take a look at a leader. So
Oh, okay.
leaders are very similar to main characters, other than the fact that they don't like stay in play the whole time. I guess if you have any questions about core Star Wars Unlimited mechanics, like feel free to ask.
Harrisindula. Ignore the aspect penalty on spectral cards you play. Okay, that's interesting. Epic action. So she comes out on 6. Her stats are decent, I guess. And it says on attack, you may give an experience token to another unique unit. So she's trying to put out unique stuff.
Do you know what
Okay.
a Spectre card is?
I mean, I'm assuming it's a card that has the Spectre
Yes, exactly. Okay.
description. So, okay. I have not been playing this game long. It's only been
Okay.
like since Gen Con. However, I have not seen a lot of Spectre cards. So this is a complete guess, but just based on a few Spectre cards I've seen, I'm gonna say this is Binder.
You are correct. There is the whole team. If you're a fan of Star Wars Rebels, like as a show, the Spectre, that team affiliation, kind of like in Versus, they all kind of work together, but they're all different colors, and she lets you get around that. The problem is most of those cards aren't super great. If she starts attacking and can start putting +1 counters on to those units, she can snowball, but it is fringe play for sure. It is a binder card.
All right, cool.
All right, so we're 2 for 2. Coming at you with another command card here.
So green is command.
Yes.
All right. I'm learning. All right, 5 costs. This better be good. It's an upgrade, not giving you anything. Okay, so these keywords better be good. When this upgrade becomes attached to a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less, take control of that unit. Oh, wait a minute, we're stealing something. When this upgrade becomes unattached from a unit, that unit's owner says, okay, so you can steal something. All right, question. If
Okay.
that unit is ready, does it stay ready?
You get it in whatever state it's in. So, yes, if it's ready, you play Traitorous on it, it comes to your side of the board in a ready condition. It's your opponent's action at that point, but it does stay ready.
Man, that could be good. Because it doesn't even limit the cost of it either.
Well, it's Traitorous is 3 or less. That's in that first sentence.
Oh, it does. 3 or less. Okay. Ooh. Oh man, this is tough. Trying to think what how would that be better than just playing phone? You know what? I'm gonna say this is a banger.
Final answer?
Yeah.
All right, man, you're on a roll. Yes. I thought I was going to trick you with this one because paying 5 to steal a 3 cost unit on its face doesn't feel great. But Command is also the color that has lots of ramp. Super Laser DJ is basically an exact copy of Mantis from Versus. So there's times where you get to 5 early enough that you're basically stealing your opponent's on curve recruit, which is really annoying. So yeah, this card is definitely a banger.
Yeah, I need to get some of these because I was playing what's his name? It was a moth. The green moth, a command moth.
Oh, Grand Moff
Not
Tarkin?
Gideon. Yeah, Tarkin. And I got super laser guys all up in there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about then.
But I don't have any of those. Uh-oh, what we got? 7
So
costs.
yellow is cunning. Uh,
Okay.
and inadvertently, kind of the same way I gravitated towards yellow abilities in Versus, I have gravitated towards yellow as a color in this game as well.
Okay. So we had cunning, villain, got my boy Billy D. Williams on the in the center. All right, we got choose up to 2 non-leader units. An opponent chooses one of those units. Return that unit to his owner's hand and put the other on the bottom of his owner's deck. Hmm. Okay. You know what? That's really late in the game. But I do know some of the cunning mains are a little slower. Like I was just playing Grand Admiral Thrawn the other day. It was going
Oh,
very badly. It was going very, very badly. So
he's my
I'm not
favorite.
good at it with him at all. Oh well, you need to explain how to actually win with him. But like in a deck like that, this would be wonderful. Um, because you're choosing two. One goes to the hand and one goes on the bottom of the deck. I mean, you're getting rid of two. Yeah, yeah, this is a banger.
Well, unfortunately, this is the first miss. So,
Ah,
there is another card in this game called Waylay, which costs 3 and lets you pick a unit and put it straight into your opponent's hand. And the problem with I Had No Choice is while there are board states where you can hit 2 units and it looks cool, there's times where you just really wish it was a Waylay. And between Waylay and some other card effects, this is just too expensive for what it does and constructed. I will say in Twin Suns, the 4 player format, this card is awesome because you pick 2 of your opponent's units and then the opponent you're not messing with, you give them the choice. So it's a good 4 player card, but in constructed, this is a binder for sure.
okay, cool. That's one.
I will admit I played with this card a lot to find that out for myself because like you, I thought it was going to be good, but it's just too slow.
Okay, that makes sense. Ooh, okay, we got a double. What does blue mean? I have no idea.
So that aspect is called vigilance. And in the first set, every aspect got one of these double aspect card that costs 4 that is named after the aspect that it represents, which makes them confusing to talk about sometimes.
Okay, so this is really a triple vigilance card then. All right, choose two in any order. Discard 6 cards from the opponent's deck. Deal 5 damage from a base. Defeat a unit with 3 or less remaining HP. Give a shield token to a unit. Okay.
Do you know how aspect penalties work?
Um, I may. I know that in order to play this, if you don't have a base and a main that has both halves of blue, and it
Mm-hmm.
would cost 1 extra to play, right?
2 actually. It costs 2 per symbol you don't have. So if you're playing, say, a Thrawn blue deck, this would cost that deck 6.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so to play this for 4, you have to have a blue leader and a blue base. Um,
Otherwise, it's 6 or 8.
yeah, and then it would either be 6 or 8, depending upon if you don't have any blue on your leader or base at all. Yeah, it would be 8, which would be a very expensive card.
Okay. Well, that alone makes it kind of hard to call it a banger. You can't play it in that many types of decks. Um, but is it even good for a double blue deck? 5 damage and yeah. I know there's a card called Repair that can heal damage for
Yep.
1,
Yep. Repair
3.
costs 1 and heals 3.
I have yet to find anything that will make me ever want to discard 6 cards from the opponent's deck. But I also have not played this game much at all.
So I will say, in versus running out of cards in your deck doesn't really mean anything. You just don't get a draw into fresh resources. In Star Wars Unlimited, there is a fatigue mechanic where once your deck is empty, every time you're supposed to draw a card, you take 3 damage for each card you can't draw.
Ouch.
So just starting your turn with an empty deck would be 6 damage.
Okay, yeah, that's messed up. The question is, how long would that take? I don't like I said, I don't know enough of the cards to even know if that's even something that's possible. So I'm gonna say this is a binder card.
All right. Well, unfortunately, this card is not only a banger, it is borderline meta defining in how strong it is.
Ooh.
Simply on the back of this card, there is another not good card called Restock that costs 1 and lets you pick 4 cards from your discard pile and put them back in your deck. And that card became meta just because of how aggressive the blue strategies got with not only playing the 3 copies of this that come in their deck initially, but recurring them with restock. And there's another, like a yellow unit that when you play it, you get an event back out of your KO pile and absolutely decimating people's decks super early in the game. Like double blue control is a thing on the basis of this card. So this is a very scary one. I will also admit though on my podcast when we reviewed this card, I said it was going to be terrible, so I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, this is. This was a tricky one, man. You
It
playing
really
games with me.
was. All
Okay.
right, so we're gonna go from really tricky, and we're gonna take things back down a notch to a nice simple card.
Card doesn't do anything. It's just 3 and 3. Trying to think of other 2 cost units. Okay, now it has Rebel and Trooper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I know that there are a lot of cards that give boosts to rebels and troopers. And the base 3/3, I think, is at least on par with the normal 2 cost, if not a little higher. I'm gonna say banger.
You are absolutely correct. In set two, there is a cunning card that's a 2 cost 3/3 with a shield, and it has the horrific drawback that when it dies, your opponent gets to untap 12 resources. And that card is still playable. So a 2 cost 3/3 with no drawback of any kind is an absolute banger. And the Rebel tag, particularly in those like really aggressive like Sabine decks that care a lot about Rebel, that's where this really shines. The Trooper stuff is a little bit more dark side, and because this has the heroic tag, it's not going to be as good in like a Moff Tarkin. But yeah, I thought this one was going to trick you because the blank stat box, I was like, this is going to be hard. But no, you saw right through it.
I've actually played against rebel stuff. So I have been getting my tail beaten royally by rebels the last 3 days. So that probably is what got me to go banger there.
Yeah, Battlefield
Okay.
Marine is definitely a staple in those Rebel aggro decks with Leia or Sabine. All right, so I'm throwing another leader
Yes.
at you.
Boba. I mean, he's got to be a banger just because it's Boba. But let me take a look at the card. They wouldn't do Boba wrong like that. All right, so we got okay, this is villain Boba. When an enemy unit leaves play, you may exhaust its leader if you do ready a resource. Oh, wait a minute. Comes out for
So
5.
when he's on his deployed side, that exhaust you'll actually like turn the sideways card sideways, so it only triggers once per turn. But he readies just like everything else on your board, so it would basically be once per turn. When something leaves play, you get to get a resource back.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Did this come out in set 1 or set 2?
this is a set one leader.
Set 1 leader. Okay, so they didn't invent this with bounties in mind, then. Okay. I mean, that seems like a strong ability. Probably not something you're gonna use every turn, but I mean, readying a resource, clearly that's a good thing. And he's a cunning guy too. All right, when he comes out, when his unit completes an attack, if an enemy unit left this, what? Oh, this has to be a banger, dude.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like
Uh, there's a lot of people
that's
that think
crazy.
this is the best leader in the game. As far as mid-range stuff, he just gets so much value. There are people in the community that have said if he didn't deploy until turn 6, it would still be a banger at that point. So yeah, 4/7 on 5, potentially on turn 5 he could ready 3 resources. It's crazy. This guy's bananas.
Yeah, he looks bananas. That's crazy. Yeah. The 2 resources thing is crazy.
Yeah, even if it only goes off once in the whole game, sometimes that's enough to just pull super far ahead. So you mentioned Grand
8
Admiral
cost
Thrawn earlier. This is his personal Star Destroyer.
Oh, okay, and I don't have it, which is probably why my deck is trash. Alright, Chimera. What we got here? 8 cost, 8 attack, 7 defense. Comes in with a shield. On attack, name a card. An opponent reveals their hand and discards a card with that name from it. Alright, so yeah, this I could have guessed this was his card just from that ability. All right, so Grand Admiral Thrawn is basically stalling until I'm assuming, until you get around this level, and the whole time he's looking at the top card of his opponent's deck. So you should have some idea of what might be in your opponent's hand by what they play. And this thing is shielded too. I'm gonna say banger.
All right, well, unfortunately, the Chimera largely lives inside the binder. Um, the problem with it is it's an on attack ability and not a win played. So you pay 8 for this thing, and then your opponent pays 5 for a vanquish and just kills it and his resources ahead on you. if it got to do its thing when it came out, I think it would be a banger. And oh man, did I try to make this one work. But unfortunately, by the time you have enough resources to play it, your opponent has enough resources to play really efficient removal and just not let you get any value out of it.
That made me sad.
Yeah, it made me sad too. I lost a lot of games with that thing on the board. I will say the one good thing it does, if your opponent's removal is damage based, the shield does sometimes keep it alive for a turn, versus like the other big Star Destroyer, Avenger. But it's super rare. Like, in versus how I always say, like, if I'm gonna spend my whole turn on something, it has to do something as soon as it comes into play. This card fails that
Yeah.
test.
Okay. Okay. Got you. I'm learning a lot. That's for sure.
I mean, you're doing good. You've only missed three so far, man.
All right, cool. Well, let's see if I can keep it from being four. We had for a cause I believe in. This is a red card.
Yes.
I kind of feel like this is going to be good just because it's red. Aggression, good guy. Reveal the top four cards of your deck. For each good guy card revealed this way, deal one damage to an enemy base. You may discard any of the revealed cards and put the rest back on top of your deck in any order. Basically, pay three, potentially get four damage to a base. And you can also set your draw on top of it.
Yes. So you reveal the cards, and you can put whichever one you want to draw next on top, or you can throw them away if they're not good for the situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go banger, and I'm pretty convinced on this one.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is how aggro decks finish games. Like once you get your sentinels down, once you clear their board and all their little weenies are gone and they don't have anything left to attack with, they play this and you just die from hand and there's nothing you can do about it. Really, the
That's
only
pretty messed.
drawback is there's some good red cards that you would want to play, but because they don't have the heroic tag, you don't want to put them into your deck if you're running for a cause because you don't want to miss.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, here we go. Card number 10.
Okay, entrenched. I had this in my crappy Thrawn deck. I don't know if it's good or not because I never was able to play it. All right, so a two cost upgrade. Attached unit can attack bases, but he's plus three, which we've already established is good for a cost of two. You make it something stronger. I'm assuming you're going to want to put this on a sentinel. Either that or he's just out there to just try to whittle down your opponent's whatever you aren't able to exhaust or get rid of. Is this good? And it's kind of tough. I don't know if this is good. This is a tough one, man. Because we just established that two cost 3/3 is good. I don't like this though, because you can't attack bases. I don't know if that's enough to make this actually good. I'm gonna go binder.
Okay. I was over here biting my tongue. If I said to you that in Star Wars Unlimited you can play upgrades on your units or your opponent's units, does that change your opinion at all? Or am I
You
just trying to trick you?
so okay. So that is something I did not know. So you can play any upgrade on any unit that unless it's otherwise specified.
Yes. Some of them will say non-leader, some of them will say non-vehicle. This one has none of that. So you can play this on any unit that's on any side of the board anywhere.
Oh, I mean, you just blew my mind right there. So something that's killing my base, I could just throw this on that, and it will never be able to hit my base again.
It
And
does it does get big enough to
also,
eat your guys if try to throw a dude into the ground arena and you've buffed up your opponent, your guy might get eaten.
so what if you don't have any ground units at all? That means you can't attack at all, right?
Correct.
Oh, that might change. That's a nice strategy right there. I think you're trying to trick me, man. But I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna switch it up and go banger. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
You are not wrong. This card is fantastic. What just happened here almost happened exactly the same on my podcast, where I was like, this card sucks. And then my co host Banana was like, but you could play it on opposing units. And I'm like, oh, I was wrong. This card is great.
That's a mess. That's messed up.
Oh, it's so frustrating. Like you play this on like Sabine Leader, who has a great win attack, like on attack ability, and now she's huge, but you don't put any units in front of her to attack. Or you play this on Boba Fett. Oh, you wanted to ready your resources for your game plan this turn? Hmm, I guess you can't. It's disgusting. It makes people get really mad at you.
And then you can just basically just ignore that guy.
Yeah.
and like if you got a bunch of space units in your deck, that's a good strategy. I like that.
And it
Okay.
does have the flexibility where I consider it to be a backup plan. You throw it on one of your units to get big enough to deal with a problem. But primarily, I consider this card to be a removal tool or a damage mitigation tool.
Really like this game, man.
All right, so
I
that was
don't
the
I'm
10
not
cards that I had set aside for you, man. You got 7 out of 10. I did have one last card to use as a tiebreaker if you want straight 5 and 5. Do you want to try to take one more on, or do you want to walk away with your 70% record?
Hey, I'm at 70%. That means I can't go below half. So let me see the other card.
Okay, I'll throw you the tiebreaker card. This is a set 2 leader.
Dr. F. When the regroup phase starts, discard a card from your deck. Poise on 5. Okay. On 5, she comes out 2 and 5. While there are 5 or more different costs among cards in your discard card pile, this unit gets +3/+0. Ooh. When deployed, choose 3 cards in your discard pile with different names. If you do, return one of them at random to your hand. Okay. So now I know there are other discard effects that you can use. So, because her ability alone would mean that when she comes out, you won't even have 5 cards in your discard pile if you bring her out right away. So you would have to do some extra discarding, which you can. Um,
Or combat. When units die, they go to the discard pile.
ah, yeah, that too. Then she'll be 5 and 5 and 5. This is hard. It's kind of all over the place. I don't like the uncertainty of this. I think if I want to do discard, I would probably play Kylo instead. I'm gonna say Binder.
Well, it pains me to say you are correct. I really wanted this leader to work. So there's a lot of effects in the command aspect that let you get stuff back out of your discard pile. So I looked at her and I thought like Dredge from Magic. I was like, oh, she'll discard stuff, and then I'll use like Palpatine Returns and uh, another card that I can't think the name of right now, Recurring Recruits or something like that, and I'll get those cards back, and it'll be like my discard pile is an extension of my hand. It's going to be awesome. It was not awesome. So you correctly deduced that Afra is not worth the time I put into her for sure.
Is she bad or is she just not good enough?
Uh, she just doesn't. There aren't enough discard pile recursion effects to make your discard pile feel like an extension of your hand the way I wanted it to. So right now, it just and with the amount of control decks that are out there that actively want to put your cards from the deck into the discard pile and beat you through the fatigue mechanic, she's running into a meta that's not great for what she's trying to do, and what she's trying to do doesn't have that much support. And even if she gets her like thing, she's still a 5/5 on 5, which is not like a fantastic stat block. I have not found any way to make her if I try to build something around her specifically, it's clunky and slow and doesn't really work. If I try to like build her around the bounty hunter synergies or the underworld synergies and the cunning aspect, she's just like a worse version of Cad Bane or Boba. Just I have not been able to find a home for it. Not for lack of trying, but Thrawn, I believe in. He's a not so popular guy who I think is actually really good. Afra, I think she might be good a few sets from now when we have more ways to interact with the discard pile. You passed my test with flying colors. I was deliberately trying to choose some cards that I thought would trip you up as a versus player, but you saw through most of my ruses.
Honestly, you know what's funny is the little experience that I had is actually what helped me because I've played Sabine, I've played Thrawn, so some of the cards that you chose kind of helped me like piece through it or sort through it a little bit. But you did trick me on a lot of these, man. A lot of it, I honestly would have voted the other way. Yeah, like I just guessed on at least 3 or 4.
Well, good. That's how I wanted this to work out. Okay, so that wraps it up with our first attempt at Banger or Binder. This was a ton of fun, and big appreciation to Vern for coming on the show and letting me intentionally try to play tricks on him and make him be wrong about things. If you like Vern, and you should, of course, check out Team Apex. There'll be links to their stuff in the show description. I hope my Versus fans had fun trying to play along and think about whether these cards would be good using our versus background, and I want to try to do this the other way. Get some players of other games to come in here and try to analyze versus cards. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So, all right, we're gonna leave it there. I'm Mr. Ben. This has been the Build Phase, and you should go win some games.